I made a quick cell phone video years ago about how to create an authentic two-saw oscillator patch on the DeepMind 12, and I've always wanted to make a better one. I sold my DeepMind a little over a year ago, really foolishly, because I thought I'd outgrown it and some other dumb stuff, and I realized I really missed it because it's a great synth. First of all, I love it because it's the only thing Behringer has really made that's not a direct knockoff of anything. And to me, it's like a spiritual successor to one of my favorite synths of all time, the Roland Alpha Juno, the MKS50 being the rack version. To me, it's a really limited synth that's easy to get sounds out of, easy to get sounding good. And one of those great examples of a synth where the limitations do inspire a lot of creativity. To me, it's more similar to those than it is the original Junos, the 6, the 60, and the 106, although there definitely are some similarities. And that's part of what I like about it, is it's kind of the best of all worlds. One of the things that it doesn't do, though, is you can't really create a two-saw oscillator patch because every voice only has one saw oscillator. Now, there are two oscillators on here, but let me mute the saw and I'll just bring up the second oscillator. And it's this really rich square wave with some tone control. And what it really is it's an editable sub-oscillator. The synths that I mentioned, the Alpha Junos, have a sub-oscillator and you can change some tone controls. And essentially that's what this is. The problem is if you want those classic synth sounds with two saws, you can't really get that right out of the box, except that you can with a pretty easy workaround. The only drawback is it turns this 12 voice synth, and you'll notice there's one light, one LED per voice. It turns this 12 voice synth into a 6 voice synth, which is a pretty worthy trade-off in my opinion. Now, I do want to say the caveat that you might be thinking, well, actually this synth has a unison detune mode, and that is true, it does. And you can change the unison detune into a 2-voice patch where every note does play 2 voices. The problem is you don't have volume or pitch control over the second stack, over the second voice. It's just, you just sort of have control over how wide that detuning is, which might get you there in some cases, but it probably doesn't in all cases. So I have saved the necessary settings to do a 2 oscillator saw patch just as a preset. It's a really easy thing to set up. You'll notice this does the same thing where it plays it lights up 2 LEDs and plays 2 voices per note. There are only 3 things you need to do in the mod matrix, and I'm going to show you all 3 of them. And the easiest thing to do is if you have a template, you just save this as a new template and have it be your 2 oscillator template. You only need 3 mod matrix settings. So they're all going to use the unison voice as the source. And to get that, you go all the way to the right, super easy to do, then 3 clicks to the left. So unison voice for all 3 sources, and then your destinations are going to be 1, VCA all. Your second one is going to be oscillator 1 and 2 pitch, that's your coarse pitch of your second voice. And oscillator 1 and 2 fine is your fine pitch of your second voice. So the first one is the VCA all. Now, this is the attenuation of the second voice. 0 is going to make your second voice as loud as your first voice. If you go above 0, you're going to have a VCA that never turns off. You don't want that. I mean, you might if you're doing drones, but I recommend, 0 is the highest, and then you just decide how. So really, instead of turning up your second voice, you're turning your second voice down. Your second one is, like I said, it's coarse pitch control, so you can hear if I do 7 semitones, I've got my second voice playing fifths, and then your third one is your fine pitch control. And you can hear it sounds more and more detuned as I turn up. You can also adjust with the data slider. You can also do all of this in the really nice companion app. I find it's just as easy to do on the screen on the synth itself. So hopefully this helps, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks.